Before we get into the content today, just a quick reminder that if it resonates with you and you want to book in with me or my coaches, there is a free call booking link in the description. Enjoy. All right, signs a man loves you. Number one, teammate. He treats you as his teammate. This is an important one because when it comes to unhealthy relationships, one of the things I see a lot is a versus mindset. So it's good for a while and you sort of, while it's convenient and while it works for everyone, it seems like you're on the same page. But then as soon as there's a clash, as soon as there is a problem, which there will be in every relationship, it becomes you versus him. And you feel like you're kind of fighting against him or versing him, or it's sort of like you're both pulling on the rope in your own direction, trying to get your own way. As opposed to, all right, here's a problem, let's sit down as a team and fix it. It's a we rather than a you and I. And I think you ladies know, you will feel this. You kind of feel, I've actually had my partner call me out on this once or twice, and us avoidant guys are probably a little more vulnerable to this, to just being like, oh, I'm gonna do my own thing over here, and then you feel not cared about. And she's called me out once or twice. She's been like, hey, in this instance, I don't really feel like you're operating as a teammate. I feel like we're more versus. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? She's right. She's actually dead right. And that's helped me. Just her saying that has reframed my mindset in those moments. But nonetheless, you want someone who's your teammate. And this just really shows the difference between a relationship that is healthy, because this is something all the healthy ones have in common, versus that you versus I feel like we're sort of both pulling against each other here to try and get our ways. Obviously that will happen occasionally, but overall you want the vast majority of your relationship to feel like a team, and you're a team together. Number two, big one. He complains but doesn't criticize. And by the way, pretty much all of these relate to women as well, so this goes the same to you. Complaints, criticism, defensiveness. You don't want it to go down that track. Complaints are normal, complaints are healthy, complaints are an indication of self-expression. By the way, this is why it is better to date more secure people. Because if you date a really insecure guy with a lot of shame, or a really insecure woman with a lot of shame, if that's your thing, if you date that person, it's very hard to make a complaint that they don't perceive as criticism. Because it's so sensitive. They're sensitive about everything, and so you can't really complain without them feeling criticized and becoming defensive. So yes, you do have to communicate your complaints correctly and use the right wording and things, but this is fundamentally why it's difficult to have a relationship with someone who's really, really insecure, because once they get defensive, they tend to get contemptuous and they bite back and you bite back, and then the resentment forms, and that's where shit all hits the fan over a course of months or years. Complaints, great. Criticisms, no. If a guy is stopping there, if a guy complains to you and if he says, hey, I'm disappointed about this thing that happened, and makes genuine complaints, but it never becomes criticism, that's a really good thing. That says he has a lot of emotional sensibility, that says he's pretty secure, that says he speaks his mind and speaks up. It doesn't mean some of those complaints don't need to be spoke about, but it does mean it's really, really healthy, and it shows that he cares for you because he knows not to go to criticism. And that to me speaks way higher than big, giant romantic acts, roller coaster couple, high and then low and then high again. Being vigilant to not criticize your partner, to me, way more loving, way more real. Number three, he brings you around his closest people. This is pretty self-explanatory. If a man cares about you, if a man loves you, if he's really invested in you, he is going to bring you around his people. He's not going to deny you to his family. He's not going to hide you from his friends. He's not going to keep you in the wish-wash background away from being seen. He's not going to want to appear to be single. I mean, this isn't the first date. You get a little way in, but basically he will bring you around those people. That shows he's bringing you into his world, and it shows you mean a lot to him. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, that one. Number four, I love 4 and 5. These are two of my favorites. Number 4, he asks you for advice. He asks you for advice. You know he cares about you, and you know that he's willing to put his ego aside a little bit and take feedback from you if he's secure enough with you to ask you for advice. Just a really good overall sign, demonstrates that You mean you hold an important place in his life. It demonstrates that he respects you. Lots of good science behind this as well. Lots of studies I've seen that really show the divorce rates are so much lower when a guy can take advice from his wife. All just good things, all just really good things. If he asks you for advice, that is very meaningful, and it shows he cares about you, your thoughts, and that you are, like, he has a high regard of you in his life. So that's a big one. And number 5, he is more emotionally vulnerable with you than he is with anyone else. That is a really strong sign of connection. You've probably dated a guy or had a friend date a guy or are dating a guy where you're his girlfriend, supposedly, but it seems like he runs back to that BFF he's known for years and goes to her when he's really unsure about things, or even just goes to his mum always before you. I see that pretty commonly. And it's not malicious, it just means that he doesn't want to go through the vulnerability of that with you. At least not right now, or he's not choosing to. So, who a man decides to be most vulnerable with and have his most vulnerable connection with is very telling. Because intimacy is scary, vulnerability is scary. As soon as he's vulnerable with you, you have the ability to crush him, to cause him shame, to emasculate him, and same for him back to you. So it's meaningful when a guy shows with his actions that, hey, I'm going to be more vulnerable with you than I will with anyone else. That says a lot. You know, that vulnerability, value that and nurture that and look after that, because he's not doing that with anyone else. And if you crush him for it, or if he feels shamed of doing it with you, he's probably not going to want to do it with anyone else. And he'll probably shut down for a good long time. So, pretty clear sign a guy loves you. Strong sign you are his person and that he's connected to you is if he is more vulnerable around you than he is with any other connection in his life. Leave a comment below if you've got a really powerful sign that you've noticed that you just knew when a guy did it to you, that, hey, this is real. Intuitively, I know this is healthy and real. Hit the subscribe button, little bell. See you soon.